All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us. So we can, and welcome to the CQ Growth Lab. We are excited to share a few things with you. Can't really say that all of this will be groundbreakingly new, but I do think there'll be a couple nuggets that you should get out of this that would be good reminders for how do we continue to stay in connection with our patients, make them feel the care, make them and really help us put the care back in healthcare and continue to do that in a variety of different ways. For the purposes of this webinar, you will not be able to talk. Unfortunately, that was I was to my dismay when I found that out, because I think you all know me and know I like to have some engagement. So what we will have to do instead is we will use the chat and the Q&A functions. We have people that will be looking at the chat and the Q&A functions, and that's how you will be able to answer some of the questions that we have as we're going through this. And if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to utilize those functions and share with us your thoughts, share with us your questions, and of course, any answers as well. So we have seen great success with practices working their database in a tough market, and we just want to share a few of those successes. Can the meeting be sent to us via email? Can the meeting be sent via email, guys?
Yeah, so at the close of the call, if you're registered and you're on the meeting, you'll actually get an email with a link so that you can view that presentation afterwards.
There you go, Thomas. Thanks for the question. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get going with it. Go to the next slide there, Vikki.
Got it.
So this is a quote from one of our customers, correct, Vikki?
Yeah, we use in the training and everything in the beginning of CQ.
Yeah, so I think this is a fantastic quote from a customer who's been utilizing a care after yes call, and that's in a situation where a patient has said yes and they move forward with the solution and move forward with technology. And then within a couple of days from them leaving the office with the technology on their ears, we are making a phone call to that patient to see, hey, what's the best thing they've heard so far? Hey, how was the date that they were supposed to go on when they left your office? How was the wedding? How was whatever event that they were looking forward to being able to hear in again? How did it go? And it's one of those like kind of cool follow-up calls to be able to have a positive experience with the patient, and where we're not trying to sell them anything. We're just, again, trying to put the care back in healthcare. So fantastic quote to kind of to start this process. Next slide.
And a fantastic question to kind of bring us to that next part. So this is your first chance for interaction. If you guys can type into the chat your answer to this question. So how long do you tell your patients that their hearing aids will last? Because we know everybody hears the question. We even hear that question from a marketing standpoint. So in your practice, what's the most common answer that you give to patients?
And this question typically comes from patients, during the consultation, toward the end, or at their fitting. Hey, so how long are these going to last? So we have one saying 5 years. Okay. 4 to 5, 3 to 4, 5. 5, 3 to 5. Warranty ends in 3. Okay. Typically 3 to 5, or until the prescription no longer meets their needs. I like that, Megan.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
3 to 4. Good. All right. So in a way, we're kind of all over the map a little bit, which I'm not super shocked or surprised by. And that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. I mean, at least we're not saying 5 to 7 anymore. That was something when I first started in the industry that I heard very commonly. And, when I asked a lot of folks where that came from, frankly, the answer I got was, that's what we were taught in school. And even you'll even find on some of the ASHA stuff from way back when, I don't know if it still shows it anymore, but 5 to 7 was a pretty common answer. Now we're saying 3 to 5, or 5 or 3, or a variety of those in between. So something that I think we need to really, from a mindset standpoint, think about is when we say 3 to 5, what do the patients hear? What do the patients hear when we say 3 to 5? Go ahead and put that in the chat. What do you think a patient hears when we say 3 to 5? They hear 5. Kathy, you're right.
5 to 10.
Megan said 5 to 10. Yeah, they might hear that as well. So, what we really, yeah, I agree. Like when we use ranges, most of the time they're going to hear whatever's most beneficial for them. So if we say 3 to 5, they're going to hear 5, and that's probably what they're going to remember. So from a mindset standpoint, the thing I think that we have to really adjust, or at least think about adjusting in our communication with patients, is exactly how we present that. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Next slide.
All right, so kind of that next question, kind of leading into figuring out some strategies. How frequently do you contact your out of warranty patients? Like once they've gotten to that 3 to 5 range, how frequently are you reaching out, or how are you reaching out?
Yeah, so how frequently do you reach out, and how? Same thing in the chat. How frequently do you reach out, and how? So method of communication: phone, email, text, snail mail. How frequently and how? Okay, do an upgrade event once per year. And that usually would be at least letters and probably phone calls behind the letters. We've got another one that says mailers and the new nurture program. Thank you for that plug, JC. Wonderful. JC Bald Hearing Guy Soto. I like that, JC. your name on there. Mail and letter. Okay, good. And how frequently? How frequently? Once they go out of warranty, so once they pass that 3-year mark, how frequently are we contacting them?
Once a year.
So we got one person that said once a year, so we'll go with that. Okay. If anyone has anything different, please feel free to type that in as well. Next slide, Vikki. This is a different format. I got to get used to this.
It's kind of different. So how frequently should you be contacting your out of warranty patients? Oh, I like Anne's answer, every 3 to 6 months.
I don't see that.
Monthly.
Oh, sorry guys, it stopped scrolling down. My bad. Okay.
Got to hit new messages. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got a few people saying every 3 to 6 months. I got one that says monthly, quarterly, once a year. All right, so we're kind of all over the map there. So we're going to give you a few strategies where we can talk about frequency and some different ways of approaching that. Not surprised, we're all over the map here again. The thing that we have to ask ourselves with all these questions. So the first question that I have for the whole group is, if we believe our foundation is, and this really isn't a question yet, but if we believe our foundation is to help as many people as we possibly can, hear as well as they possibly can. Help as many people as they can, hear as well as they possibly can. Do we all agree to that? That's our core foundation, that we are here to help as many people as we can, hear as well as they possibly can. Do we all agree with that? Yes or no in the chat? Yes. 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 Okay. I think we all agree. Okay. So can anyone make an argument that someone with 5-year-old devices is hearing as well as they possibly can? I ask this question in every sales intensive we do, in every sales class we do. No one has yet to make an argument on this, that if someone has 5-year-old devices, they are for sure hearing as well as they possibly can. Okay. So unless someone can make a strong argument there, I think we can all agree, I don't want to assume, but I think we can all agree that if someone's wearing 5-year-old hearing aids, they're not hearing as well as they possibly can. So going back to your initial answer on how long do hearing aids last, I would ask us to start answering that question a little differently. And here would be my suggestion. That's a very reasonable question, John. Let's say the patient, John. It's a very reasonable question, John. It's something that comes up quite frequently. And what I will tell you is that if you take care of your hearing aids and get them serviced regularly, your hearing aids will last for years. However, the reason people typically look at and get newer technology is not because their hearing aids are no longer working. It is because they have got an opportunity to hear what the new technology sounds like, and they have recognized that it's a major improvement and it is helping them hear their best. It is helping them hear better. And that's typically why people end up getting newer technology. So my professional obligation to you and this partnership is that anytime something comes out that might help you hear better, it's my obligation to you and my responsibility to you to give you an opportunity to listen to it and try it. It's your responsibility in this partnership to let me know when that benefit is enough for you to make another investment in your hearing. Does that seem reasonable? I promise you, I've had providers do this over and over again. And when they do it in this way, they have yet to have a patient go, no, that's not reasonable. I don't want you to do that for me. They all go, oh yeah, sounds good. And so you're right. You're setting the stage from the very outset that that's your obligation to them and that's your responsibility to them, that anytime something comes out that might help them hear better, you are going to give them a chance to learn about it and try it and see if there's an added benefit. And if you do it this way, you're going to start having patients come in going, hey, is there anything new? And don't we love those folks? Right now, that's probably about 10% of your patients. Imagine if we could get that to 40 to 50% of your patients, that when they come in and they're out of warranty, or even maybe they're not even out of warranty yet, they're asking the question, hey, so what's new? Anything new on the technology front? Anything new you want to tell me about? That's where we want to get to. So that's the first piece of this. And that's why we asked the question, how long do hearing aids last? I would ask you to sort of change the way you answer that question. It's not about how long they last. It's about how long they are helping you hear your best. Because that's what I'm here to do for you. That's my responsibility to you as your provider. And then as far as how frequently you should contact them, we're going to get into the frequency piece of it, but think about it from the patient standpoint. Do you think most of them are sitting there going, man, JC Soto calls me way too much. His office reaches out to me way too much. They're annoying me. I'm sick and tired of that. Or do you think they go, wow, these people really seem to care? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. And I get it. There are going to be there are going to be exceptions to that rule, and there are going to be a few patients that don't that may have complaints, or they may make comments of like, wow, you really reach out to me a lot. That being said, do we want to take away from the care and concern and putting the care back in healthcare? I can tell you my doctor's offices never reach out to me. The only one who follows up with me is my dentist, and I have yet to complain to them, and I have referred a lot of people to them because their follow-up is fantastic. It really is. Next slide. Now, these might surprise y'all. I can tell you these can be controversial. Well, at least one of these stats can be very controversial. The first one, 45% of hearing aid wearers make their second purchase elsewhere. Do y'all believe that for your practices? You can type the answer in the chat. Do y'all believe 45% of hearing aid wearers made their second purchase elsewhere? Ted Park said yes.
We heard
Kathy
JC's
said
soul.
yes.
Yeah.
That first one hurts your soul, JC. I know, it hurts my soul too. Ann goes, I hope not. We work on referrals. I agree with you, Ann. I hope not too. Now, we have to consider the fact here in this scenario, this includes people who buy their first set at Costco. So that's a good one for us. That means that we can scoop those up. And I know many of you on this call get those. They bought their first set at Costco, but then they come to you for their second set. Awesome, right? That also says a little something though, too. This also factors in people who buy online. It also factors people who initially got their first set maybe through a managed care plan or something like that, and now they don't have that, so they're going somewhere else. It factors in a lot of those things. What we've seen in practices when we do database events and we have outbound calling going on behind the letters that we send out, I hate to tell you all this, this is in the practices we work with. What we typically see, I call them PWEs, patient went elsewhere, PWE. What we typically see is 20 to 25% of patients went elsewhere in our private practices that we work with. So it's a better stat than 45% because it factors out all those other factors, but that's still way too high in our opinion. Still way too high. The repurchase rate has gone up a little bit. It's at 4.2 years on average now. Why do you think that would be, given some of the answers? And I'm not calling anybody out, but just let's think about this. If we're saying 5 years, it's no wonder to me that the repurchase rate is 4.2 years. It's actually gone up a little bit over the last 5 years. So, you know, there's power in our words, and I'm not saying anyone was doing anything wrong. Just think about the power of our words. And if we set the expectation of 5 years, then they're not even going to be starting to think about new technology until about 4.5 to 5 years. Most people don't think about new technology and getting something new until they're at least a year out of warranty, unless you set the stage differently on the front end. And then 40% of hearing aids sold are sold to existing users. I'd like to see that higher in our practices. I'd like to see that up to 50% in our practices. If we're doing a good job at this, that's where I'd like to see it. If you don't know what your stats are for your practice, get with your account manager and you guys can figure that out fairly quickly to know, am I in a good balance or not? Okay, that 40% is industry-wide. Okay, next slide.
The next one we went over, so we already talked a little bit about whether or not they're getting the same benefits. So if you want to talk a little bit, Dom, just kind of about hearing aid satisfaction rate and how that's kind of changed.
Yeah, I find this one particularly interesting. When we look at over the course of time, hearing aid satisfaction rates have gone up quite a bit. I mean, since I started in 2009 and it was right around that 68, 70%, 74% in 2008 from market track, satisfaction rates have gone up nicely. I'm happy to see that. To me, that says you guys are doing a great job following best practices, fitting them well, counseling them well, and the technology is pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. So one could argue that, well, that's why the repurchase rate's gone up a little bit, because the technology is better. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for that, or well, it makes them less likely to want to buy sooner because the technology they've been fit with more recently is better. That could be an argument one could definitely make. I would ask you to think about it from the standpoint of if all those things are true, then are we doing a functional listening assessment? Meaning, are we giving them a chance to hear the new technology in significant noise, so that they can make a real world active comparison before they end up making the decision to either keep what they have or get something new? The fact of the matter is the hearing technology is fantastic. So let's give them a chance to listen to it, because you never know. There's a high percentage of them that will say, wow, this is better, and I want to get these. I can tell you from our advanced workshops that we do, Stacy Dunn has been doing these for us for a couple of years. Her conversion rate on just out of warranty patients is 81% on these events. And it's not because she's doing anything super groundbreaking and super miraculous, or that she's just an amazing, hearing aid salesperson. It's really because the event is really focused around giving them an opportunity to try the technology in a functional listening assessment. That's a big part of it. And then the other part of it is Stacy does good, deep discovery with them to help connect any benefit to challenges that they're experiencing. Next slide. So from a database,
go ahead, Dom.
No,
I just wanted to kind of, when we look at this of kind of pulling everything together that Dom talked about, our foundations and values of looking at this as care after the sale, switching that mindset from I'm bothering a patient by reaching out instead of I'm caring for a patient by reaching out. And then that behavior change of a consistent and a comprehensive database strategy, that's what's going to bring that positive result. So it's not just one piece of it, it's bringing all of it together and making that positive movement forward. And how we would look at this from a CQ standpoint would be by kind of that pyramid type structure. So CQ Nurture, which is our automated mailed database outreach, which we could talk a little bit more if you're not familiar, that would be our foundation. That is consistent, automated, mailed letters to patients based on where they are in their patient journey. And then our CQ database program is more of an event-based program, and that will help with consistent communication and continuing to bring that message back to the patient. And then I know we had a couple of mentions of upgrade in the chat, the CQ upgrade program and the CQ advanced workshops. Our CQ specialty events, we would call them. That's kind of our peak. That's going to drive in those additional unit sales so that we can bring all of that together to be able to reach out to those patients consistently and also continue to drive units in through it. And then just to touch a little on CQ Nurture, I know we have a couple of people on the call. JC had mentioned CQ Nurture. It's a newer program for CQ. It started inception in 2022, and we were full up and running in the last couple of years. It's an integrated solution through our partnership with Darwill. They mail the letters for us. We have CQ exclusive creative that can only be mailed by CQ Partners members. They include out of warranty letters. We've got follow-up. We've got referral and review requests. So we also have birthday cards. Each piece mails at 80 cents per piece, no matter which type of piece it is. And quite honestly, if anyone's mailing birthday cards from the office, like even a stamp is more than 80 cents at this point. So it's helpful. The biggest thing we do like to talk about, though, since we want that to be a more comprehensive strategy, is those follow-up calls. So even though that care after yes is great to have the letter sent, we need to continue that with outbound calls. I know there were a few mentions of calls as far as how we're reaching out to those out of warranty patients. So whether it's a call after a letter, call after your CQ Nurture automations, or even a birthday call. Dom had made a really good point when we were getting ready for this. I can't imagine how many of our patients don't get a birthday phone call, someone to call them and actually speak to them and say happy birthday. So that could go a really long way to continue that care after yes.
Yeah, and it's I will say this much: if you have a little bit of an aversion, or if anyone in your practice has an aversion to making calls to patients, one of the easiest ways to segue into this is by making birthday calls. Your patients rarely get calls on their birthday from darn near anybody. I've asked many patients, and they might get 1 or 2 phone calls on their birthday. It is a welcomed call, I promise. And if you're doing nurture, they're getting a birthday card, or if you're sending a birthday card, awesome. But that phone call, it'll last 1 to 2 minutes, and they will not forget it. And then the next time they get something from you guys, they're going to go, they called me on my birthday. They'll remember that. They will remember it. So it's an easy way to segue into it if you're nervous about calling people on the phone.
It also goes a long way with a referral too. They're more likely to let their friends know that not only did you provide them with great service and great technology, but you cared enough to reach out to them on a special day like that.
Yep. Next slide.
So we do have some average results for all 3 programs, just to bring some numbers to life. Generally, CQ specialty events are measured per program. So we do see an average revenue of just over $54,000 per program. CQ database program, which we would generally suggest running about 3 to 4 times per year. We see about 11 appointments scheduled per program that includes those outbound calls. And then CQ Nurture, which does run consistently throughout the year, but it's only mailing to patients based on their patient journey. Each one mails out at 80 cents per piece. So most practices send about 20 to 30 pieces per month. So it only costs a couple thousand for the year and generally brings in about $8,000 per quarter on average. So I know we've got some CQ Nurture fans in the chat. So if there's anything you want to drop in there, or if you have any other questions that we can answer. That was our out of warranty strategy. Obviously, the biggest message is to work with your account manager and your marketing account executive to put some of these into place. We'll start planning for 2026 anytime now, but there's no time better than the future. So we could always get something like a CQ database program. We could get that into patients' mailboxes for you generally within like 2 to 3 weeks. So definitely connect with your account manager if it's something you want to do in the next quarter. We can get it started soon.
One thing I can promise you all, and you're going to hate to hear this, but one thing I can promise you all, if you're worried about reaching out to your patients, one thing I can promise you is your competitors are not. Miracle Ear, Hearing Life, all these retail agencies, they buy competitive user lists and they call and they mail those lists with high frequency. And why do you think they do that? Because of that stat you all hated, that 45% stat. That's why they do it, because it works. There's a high ROI on it. That's why they do it. And you might be wondering, how the hell do they get competitive user lists? You can buy them because your patients will fill out a survey that says, yes, I wear hearing aids, and boom, they're on a list somewhere. And that's how quickly it happens. So if you're unwilling to do it, your competitors are very willing and are doing it. So take advantage of this opportunity to get on top of it now. And I can promise you, you will see the value of your practice go up. But more importantly, you will see your patient satisfaction continue to rise. And that patient loyalty will be there because you have shown them that you put the care back in healthcare. So thank you all for joining us. We're out of time. But please reach out and let's get you going with CQ Nurture. Let's get you going with some database programs and some specialty events. Promise you they'll pay off.
Agreed.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.